The genitive case. Of is usually the sign of the genitive case, though it is used to also represent 14 different Greek words, namely from, around, away, under, beside, upon, over, in, into, down, through, towards, with, before. Where, however, it represents the genitive case of a noun, the Holy Spirit uses it in a variety of different senses, the recognition of which is necessary to an intelligent appreciation of the passage. Those several usages may be conveniently grouped in the following 9 classes, it being borne in mind that sometimes a genitive may belong to more than one class, and also that a study of the context will prove the surest way of determining to which a class a particular genitive belongs, where, at first sight, it seems difficult to classify. 1. The genitive of character. Here the emphasis is always on the adjectival particle which appears in the original as a noun in the genitive case. Psalm 2:6, Hebrew, the hill of my holiness, equals my holy hill. Ephesians 2:2, children of disobedience, equals disobedient children. 2 Thessalonians 1:7, Greek, angels of his might, is his mighty angels. 2. The genitive of origin. This marks the source from which anything has its origin. Ezekiel 1:1, visions of God, equals visions proceeding from God. Romans 4:11 and 13, righteousness of faith, equals righteousness coming through faith. 2 Corinthians 11:26, perils of water, equals perils occasioned by waters. 3. The genitive of possession. This is perhaps the most frequent and is generally unmistakable. Though some occurrences are difficult to identify, it may be said to answer the question, whose? Luke 2:49, Greek, the business of my Father, equals my Father's business. Revelation 14:12, the patient of the saints, equals the patients possessed by the saints. Ephesians 6:16, the shield of faith, equals faith's shield, which is the living word, Christ. Genesis 15:1, Ephesians 6:17, the sword of the Spirit, equals the Spirit's sword, which is the written word, the Scriptures. 4. The genitive of apposition. Here the of is equivalent to that is to say, or consisting of. Genesis 2:7, the breath of life, equals the breath, that is to say, life. John 2:21, the temple of his body, equals the temple, that is to say, his body. Romans 4:11, the sign of circumcision, equals the sign, that is to say, circumcision. 2 Corinthians 5:1, the house of our tabernacle, equals the house, that is to say, our tabernacle. 2 Corinthians 3:17 and 18, the Spirit of the Lord, equals the Spirit, that is to say, the Lord, Christ, who is the life of the old covenant, as the body without the Spirit is dead. First Peter 1:1, sojourners of dispersion, equals sojourners, that is to say, the dispersion. 5. The genitive of relation. This is perhaps the most interesting of all, and the manner of expressing the particular relation must be gathered from the context. Frequently, the of is equivalent to pertaining to. It may be objective, subjective, or both. Like in 2 Corinthians 5:14, the love of Christ, which may be the love of Christ bears to us, subjective, the love we bear to Christ, objective, or both may be true, and the truth. Genesis 2:9, the tree of life is the tree which preserved life. Isaiah 55:3, Acts 13:34, the sure mercies of David equals pertaining or made to David. Matthew 6:28, lilies of the field equals which grow in the field. Romans 8:36, sheep of slaughter equals sheep destined for slaughter. Hebrews 11:26, reproach of Christ equals reproach for Christ's sake. 6. The genitive of material, denoting that of which anything is made, hence the of here is equivalent to made of. Genesis 6:14, an ark of gopher wood. Psalm 2:9, a rod of iron. Daniel 2:38, this head of gold. 7. The genitive of the contents, denoting that with which anything is filled or which it contains. Hence The of is equivalent to filled with or containing. 1 Samuel 16:20, a bottle of wine. Matthew 10:42, a cup of cold water. Matthew 26:7, an alabaster box of very precious ointment. The genitive of these contents always follows the verb to fill, while the vessel filled takes the accusative case, and the filler is put in the dative case, like in Romans 15:13. Now the God of hope fill you, accusative case, and all joy and peace, genitive case, or in or by believing, dative case. Ephesians 5:18, filled with the Spirit, is the dative case, and therefore by the Spirit, the filler. Therefore, not with, which would have required the genitive case. 8. Genitive of partition. Separation, where this denotes a part taken from the whole. The of being equivalent to such expressions as share in, part of, or from among. Luke 20:35, Greek, to attain of that the world equals to attain a place in that world. 1 Corinthians 15:9, the least of the apostles equals the least among the apostles. 9. Two genitives depending on one another. Acts 5:32, we are witnesses of genitive of possession, him of, in relation to, genitive of relation, these things. Acts 20:24, the gospel of, concerning, genitive of relation, the grace of, genitive of origin or possession, God.